Hello everyone, and in this video lab we're going to continue with our animations of our EXO character here. You should have the EXO character characterized in this scene, and we have the jump animation and the shoot animation available to us. So what we're going to end up doing is we're going to take this jump animation and blend it with the shooting so that when he jumps and lands he starts wreaking havoc with his shooting. And we're also going to make it look like he's jumping down from a higher level into the scene. So to get started with that, the first thing we're going to have to do is generate a new take. So I'm going to go to the take drop down and go to new. And I do not want any of the data copied from the previous takes. And if I go down to the takes, I'm going to rename this take. See, final take. And what we're going to end up doing is we're going to add these using story mode to match them and blend them together. So I'm going to go to story mode here, and I'm going to right click and go to insert, and then character animation track. So insert and then character animation track after right clicking. And you should have the EXO character show up in the drop down inside of the character animation track here. So now what we want to do is we want to add those takes to the story mode. So I'm going to click on the drop down for the takes and go to EXO jump, and then right click inside of the timeline of the story mode and go to insert current take, and we should see the current take get inserted here. Now it's easiest to use the plotted animation here, okay, without any character control rigs or any of that sort of thing on it. Okay, so we've got the baked animation there, and we'll do the same thing for the shoot. So I'll right click here, go to insert current take, and I'll just slide it over so that we can see them side by side. Now our animation timeline isn't long enough to be able to visualize both of the animations together. So if we go to final take, right, we should be able to scrub through the animation here, right? So he jumps and he kind of pops back and does his thing, right? And it actually does play the entire animation. It looks like it ends around 281, so I'm just going to go over to here and make sure that the frame extends to 281. Okay, so now if we hit the play, just see him do his jump and then shoot. Alright, so what we want to do now is we want to match these two animations together. Okay, because right now when he jumps, he just kind of pops back to the original position where the animation was recorded. So you're going to right click the animation. Actually, I'm sorry, not right click the animation. You're going to select the animation clip, right? And in the toolbar that comes up here, there's a couple of different match options. So we're going to click on the first match option, and it's going to say match object. We want to match the EXO's right foot. Where's right foot? Right foot. It is left foot and then right foot. We're going to use the right foot to match the two clips together, and we want to match it to the previous clip because I'm selecting the second clip. We want to match it to the previous one. You can change the match time if you would like, and I have translation and rotation turned on. And what should happen now is once they're matched, we should see that it transitions from the same position. Now if we hit the play button, you're going to see a little bit of a pop there, right? So to stop that pop from happening, we're going to crossfade the two animations from together. And it's pretty easy to do. All you have to do is grab this animation clip and push it slightly into the other one. And I only want a short crossfade here so that the two blend together. If I do too much of a crossfade here, he's going to jump, and well, that's not too bad of a crossfade. I'm still going to make it a little bit shorter. It doesn't need to be that long. So he jumps and fades together. Let's see how it looks. And I'm going to turn on loop. Looking pretty good. think maybe a little bit less because the foot's translating just a little more than I would like it to. So let's rewind it. Seems a little bit more natural. Let's see, let's do this a little bit less. Alright, so it's not as noticeable. If we leave it a little bit longer, that foot translation would probably annoy me a little bit more than it does. Alright, so the next thing that we would do is then plot the animation that we just created using the story mode back to this particular take, the final take. So to plot that, you right click and then go to plot whole scene to current take. Make sure you have plot all takes shut off for this one because you don't want it to plot this to the other takes. So we're going to go to plot. And now the animation should play independently of the story mode. So we can delete, actually you could test this out by clicking on the mute button. And we should see that it still plays. And if we delete this track, it's no longer necessary to have it. We could still go back to the other takes and still work with those if we needed to. Alright, so we go back down to final take, and I think the last thing we're going to edit here is how the player drops down into the scene. And what we'll do here is start off by creating, actually first thing we'll do is we'll create some sort of object inside of the scene. So if you go to this templates area here inside of the asset browser and drop down to where it says elements, we're going to grab a primitive object. We're going to grab this cube and throw it into our scene, and what I'll do is I'll scale it up using the scale tool here. That's not the scale tool, this is the scale tool. So I'll scale this cube up and then I'll move it. And I'll turn on the scale again. A little bit longer. And then move it back a bit here. Let's take a look here. We'll scrub through our animation. So his foot's right about there. And then we're going to want him to jump forward. Alright, cool. Alright, so now we have the object in our scene for him to jump down from. We can start working with the control rig to reposition him in different areas around the scene. So I'm going to go to plot, and then I'm going to go up to the Human IK button, and then down to plot. And what we'll do is we'll plot to a control rig. And it's going to ask what type of rig we want to use. We want FKIK. And we have a control rig now on this particular animation, which is great, because we can start editing this thing on the animation layer now. So I'm on the animation layer, and what I want to do is I want to move this character up above here. Easiest way to do that is to select all of the controllers on the control rig and move it. Alright, so I made a big mistake here, and I actually crashed my my scene file. So real quickly, before we do anything, before you move anything around, let's save this. So I'm going to go to File, Save As, and what we'll do is we'll call this Exo Animations Edited. Alright. Okay. We'll save it. And the mistake I made was I had the cube selected and the controls for the control rig that I created. So I'm going to have to recreate my control rig. I'm going to make sure I don't have this guy selected. and make sure my exo character is up here, and I'm going to go to plot to control rig again. You don't have to follow these steps, I just have to redo my control rig. Alright, so make sure that this cube is not selected when you move these things, because it could cause this to crash. So I'll grab these, right, and I grabbed all of them, and if I move this guy up here, you'll see it doesn't seem to be doing it, but it should be moving the feet. I think it's because that cube's in the way. I'm just going to move this cube back. And let's grab all the controls again. Oops. I grabbed the cube again. Almost crashed it. Alright, yeah, usually the feet would move here. I'm not sure why they're not. But typically, yeah, they would move. So what we're going to want to do is I'm going to move this cube back. And I'm going to move the entire control rig up after this. So make sure I deselect the cube, move the control rig up. And I'm going to want to, oops, actually before I do that, let's go to the forward part of the animation and move the cube so that's in front of his front foot here. Okay, because we want him to still be up here. Alright, so I think I got the cube in the right position now. So what we're going to want to do is we want to take those controls and move him up here. And on the animation layer, we're going to want to key him. So I'm going to hit the key button here and the key control, and then move forward to here and create another key there. So he's here, and you can see here he jumps like a foot forward and just kind of lands there, but we want him to land pretty far forward here, right? So what I'll do is I've got the key at the starting point, the key here, and I'll go to the point where he lands, like right about here, and take the controls and move them out here somewhere, right? So he lands fairly far out, and then key him in that position. So here he goes, he walks forward, jumps, but his landing, he doesn't really get a whole lot of vertical, he just kind of falls off of it, right? So in between the jump and the landing, when he reaches the crest here of the animation, what I'll do is I'll move him up here slightly, and then key it again in this position. So we should see that he jumps up nice and high and lands. Pretty neat, right? And does his shooting animation. So now we've got the completed animation here. He jumps off, lands. Let's watch it again. I'll deselect the control rig here just by selecting the black area in the human IK panel. I want it to loop. He moves, he accelerates a little too much there. So on the animation layer, we want to select all of those translations here. Maybe move him back a bit. And then key it. Move him up to here. That's a little bit more natural. Alright, pretty cool. Alright, so this is all plotted to the control rig. So I think what we'll do is we'll save this for another lab so that we can come back to this file. And I want to keep it on the control rig so that we can edit it. So I'm going to do File, Save As, Exo Animation Edited, I believe is what we're on. And we'll put with control rig. Save. And then the next thing we'll do is we will plot this. Okay, so we're going to want to plot this back. And we'll have a plotted version of this that we could bring in as a stand-in animation in the game engine. So I'm going to go over here to the Human IK button, and I'm going to say plot to skeleton, and make sure that plot on all takes is shut off because we only want it to plot to the final take. And I'll hit plot. And now it should get rid of the control rig. And there it is. Alright, so like I said, this has been pretty much a review lab of a lot of things that we've done before, but it gives you a little bit more context of how you can edit these animations together and hopefully give you some inspiration as to what you can do for Major Assignment 2 with whatever you're planning. Okay, now you're going to want to save this file as the plotted version, so I'm going to go to File, Save As, and instead of control rig, this is going to be edited, plotted. Okay, that would be the final one that we would hand off. And there's some edits that we can do to this. I think for next week's video lab, we'll do a little bit more editing with this. Maybe add a prop to his hand, and then maybe block in some more stuff to work on the scene a little bit more. Alright, so I hope this was helpful. Hand in this lab for your lab assignment this week, and I'll see you in the next video.